Good morning to all of you. My name is Sandeep Singh. I'm Managing Director of Tata Hitachi, and I'm also the President of ICEMA, which is Construction Equipment Manufacturer Association. So good morning and welcome to everyone in today's ICEMA and CII Telangana session. We are really grateful to our Honorable Minister, Mr. K.T. Rama Rao, for having consented to be with us and participate in this panel discussion at a time when industry is going through a challenging time of a lot of uncertainty because of COVID-19. You have always been, sir, a great supporter of ICEMA, and I remember in 2017, at the time of XCon in Bangalore, we had a discussion with all the ICEMA members and you, and that's the time when we learned about your highly support of construction equipment industry, progressive views, passion for investing in Telangana at that time. You wanted XCon to be the exhibition to move from Bangalore to Telangana, and we were really delighted to see your passion at that time. As you know, that ICEMA is a body that represents the interest of construction equipment manufacturer and its associates, including financials and component suppliers. We have more than 70 members, and which includes all OEM construction equipment manufacturer, engine manufacturer, finance companies, and other big vendors. We are constantly engaged in partnership with the government, both at center and state, to deliver solutions that could build world-class infrastructure and provide skilling opportunities to construction equipment industry. Like any other industry, COVID-19 has deeply impacted our industry, and in fact, not only the industry, the entire economy, and we have also been hit very hard with this crisis. We are working like a responsible corporate citizen and would like to, work with leaders like you to see that how we can generate more employment and rebuild economy of our country. Like we are now talking about new normal is going to change the way we work in so many ways. So we must ensure that the lives and livelihood of our people and community at large are taken care and saved. We have seen as an industry a challenging time, especially in the last, though we have been suffering for the last 1.5 years, but in last few months have been very, very challenging, where factories are shut. We are not able, though our vendors are also, many of our vendors were also closed, and we had issue of movement of our material supply. We were not able to produce machine. Many of our vendors and dealers come under MSMEs, so they also had their own challenge. But we as an industry has always been very positive, and we have been in fact working very closely with the government and industry, and we have been contributing towards supplying masks, sanitizer, PPEs, and in fact many of our companies have helped in logistics. So we believe Telangana as a state plays very, very important role in our business, and in fact in infrastructure industry it is being considered as one of the most important potential state, because most of the contractors come from Telangana. And the leadership in Telangana, we have seen in the past few years, have developed a climate of innovation and dynamism, focus on schemes like water resources, developing water resources, mining activities, creating an ecosystem of investment. In fact, your initiative has brought in large amount of investment in Telangana, and this is one of the states where you will see all leaders of construction equipment industry visiting almost every month. So with this, I would like to once again thank you for participating in this session today. To start with, I would like to request my colleague Dimitro, who is the Vice President of ICEMA and also Managing Director of Volvo Construction Equipment, to introduce panelists and moderate the session. So over to Dimitro.
Thank you, Sandeep. It's my pleasure to be a part of this session, and particularly in the august presence of the Mr. K.T. Rama. Very warm welcome to you, sir, from my side as well. It's really great to have you and hear you in this session. And I can just let you know that right now we have more than 200 participants who have joined the session. And my role, of course, Sandeep has introduced me already, so my role would be of a moderator. And what I would do is then quickly run the flow, how we will run the session, and then I will also moderate the Q&A later on. So what we'll do is, after my brief opening remarks, we will go to Mr. Shekhar Reddy, who is the convener of the Infra and Real Estate Panel, CII Telangana. He's also the chairman, CII Telangana chairman, and CII IGPC, and chairman and managing director of CSR Real Estate. Mr. Shekhar Reddy, very warm welcome to the panel. I also will then move to Mr. Arvind Garg, who is past veteran of our industry and the past president of ICEMA and executive vice president and head of construction and mining machinery business of L&T.
Good morning, sir.
Very warm welcome to all the panelists. Let me just start by giving a brief of our industry to the all the participants. The construction equipment industry in India passed a very major landmark in the last 1 year, and that was that we became the world's 5th largest construction equipment market by country, and we basically surpassed Japan as the 5th largest country. So it is an industry which is making its presence felt as a nation in the worldwide market. Of course, in the recent times, particularly since since the election year of 2019, we have seen a slight slowdown in the market. So that was something which was also partly triggered by the financial crisis with the impact of the IL&FS meltdown, which happened in late 2018. So we have seen a bit of a challenge on the financial flows in this to the capital goods sector, and so has been the impact of a major election, which is typically a seasonality aspect in our business cycle that we've always seen. However, we all were looking forward to 2020 as a year that will bring back momentum, and we did see that in January and February. Some level of momentum was coming back, but unfortunately, the crisis that has hit the world with COVID has definitely impacted our industry. And as Sandeep has mentioned, the industry is going through the challenges. And one of the support that ICEMA, as an industry body representing 71 manufacturers in the country and our suppliers, made a representation to the Government of India with regard to a major regulation implementation that was supposed to come in October. And the Government of India has kindly consented and moved the implementation of it by 6 months, which is a very big relief to the industry, given the challenges of development, which has got stopped because of the COVID lockdowns. Of course, we all are alive to the fact that Unlock 2.0 is here. There is a need to increase and revive economic activity, and infrastructure sector is one of those sectors that can be ramped up very, very fast. And which state other than Telangana to come to when we talk about infrastructure? And for us in the construction equipment industry, we have seen Hyderabad as a beacon of growth and beacon of hope when it comes to the infrastructure sector of this country. And we've seen huge contribution by all contractors based in Hyderabad, covering the entire country, not just in Telangana, and have contributed in a big way in the progress of this nation. So on this note, I will request our industry, let me come to Mr. Shekhar Reddy to make some opening remarks from his side, and then I will come to Arvind. Mr. Shekhar Reddy, would you like to have your opening remarks to the panel discussion, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Krishnan. Yeah, Shri K.T. Rama Garu, the Hon'ble Minister for Municipal Administration and Urban Development, Industries, IT and E&C. Shri Sandeep Singh, President, ICEMA, Mr. Timtro Krishnan, Vice President, ICEMA, Mr. Arvind K. Garg, immediate past President, dear participants and all the team of ICEMA and CA. Good morning to all. The excellent infrastructure facilities, proactive policies of Telangana state government under the dynamic leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao Garu Hyderabad and Telangana has become ultimate destination for the major global brands to invest in the state. We are fortunate to have Shri K.T. Rama Garu as chief guest for today's event, a dynamic, proactive and industry-friendly leader with his hard work, networking in India and globally has brought in huge investments, and the state has stood on the top on many ratings on different parameters for the last several years. Under his leadership, Hyderabad real estate sector has seen growth, and at the same time, it is the most affordable compared to even tier 2 cities in other states. Mega multi-story projects are under construction at various stages because of COVID-19, and also in general, there is a huge shortage of labor, semi-skilled and skilled workforce in the construction sector. Under the directions of the Honorable Chief Minister, an expert committee is constituted to suggest labor reforms, skilling and adoption of the new technology in the construction sector. In the expert committee, during the last few years, the developers are brainstorming on the shortage of workforce, delay in completion of the projects, leading to the huge investment burden and leading to the huge interest burden, which will make projects financially unviable, less productivity, and also consistency in quality also will suffer. The mega projects take 3 to 4 years to complete, which has a huge interest burden and the possibility of escalation in the cost of construction. One of the solutions is to go for the factory-made buildings, the precast buildings, which can be completed in 1/3 of the time when compared to the conventional construction methods. Productivity, quality will improve drastically. Wastage will be reduced at the factory and at the project site. Further reduction of the cost can be achieved by adopting a modular type design, which can be expanded horizontally and vertically, and also standardization of the building components like doors and windows, etc. In the future, the cost of precast buildings will be cheaper than the conventional method. There is a huge opportunity for the precast plant machinery, along with the heavy duty cranes and other machinery also. So this is a huge opportunity for you. In future, apart from the large and the medium developers, most of the RMC plants, crushers, that is the metal crushers, cement plants will expand into the precast building components manufacturing. It is high time we should use construction tools, machinery and equipments which are widely used in the developed countries. There is a demand for the mechanized sand. The state should encourage more steps in this direction to start more plants to reduce the cost of construction, also to save the environment. The ICMA members will have a huge prospects and opportunity in Telangana and across the country. I wish you will make available international standard construction machinery, equipment, tools, etc. to bring in construction sector to any other organized manufacturing unit. And I would like to also thank and acknowledge our Honorable KTR Garu. See, he is the first minister in the country to constitute a task force during the COVID crisis to take care of the interest and welfare of the migrant labor and also native labor. His immediately constituted committee has seen that every developer will take the workforce at the site and also the food facilities and ration and everything. And in fact, he is the only minister I can say in the country who has personally visited projects randomly and given support to all the entire construction force and also the real estate and construction industry, a major moral support, and also is always the supporting the industry. Is because of him also we can say all the developers were all surviving here, and I can under the direction of the CM, the labor committee has in fact come out with a website to register the labor force. And I'm happy to share and thank the KTR also today. R&B Minister at the same time now releasing the workforce which are registered on the website of the National Academy of Construction. About 10,000 Telangana native people are registered. So the R&B Honorable Minister is releasing a CD and distributing all the developers and contractors today. I think it's a major achievement. And whatever the initiative the government, Telangana government has taken, it's helping all the sectors in a big way. Thank you once again, and thank you ICMA and CII team for giving an opportunity to express my views. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shekhar Reddy Garu.
Sir, this is Arvind Garg, the past president of ICEMA, the current chairman of the Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council, and the executive vice president and head of the construction and mining machinery business for Larsen & Toubro Limited. So first of all, I would like to offer my greetings. Namaskaram, K.T. Ramarao Garu. Greetings to esteemed panelists, member of ICEMA fraternity and our industry, esteemed customers, and all of those who are watching this webinar live from various parts of Telangana and the rest of India. It is indeed a great honor to have Honorable Minister Shri K.T. Ramarao, the young and dynamic leader of Telangana, joining us for this interaction this morning. Forward-looking and technology-driven, Ramarao Garu has been spearheading the campaign to promote Telangana to attract global investments, paving the way for setting up of development centers and software parks. Sir, it is a privilege for me to be part of this CII-ICEMA interaction with you. As one of the youngest states, Telangana has established a track record of being a progressive and investor-friendly state in the country. Under the visionary leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao, who has been instrumental in the formation of the independent state, Telangana has moved leaps and bounds, registering the fastest state GDP growth rate among large states in the country, attracting entrepreneurs and investments in various segments, besides huge transformational initiatives being taken to reach water to the remotest parts of the state through lift irrigation programs and rejuvenation of tanks. I am proud that I have been associated with the construction equipment industry for more than 35 years and of having the good fortune of working in Hyderabad, the jewel in the Deccan Plateau, the early part of my career. The entrepreneurial spirit of customers from this region engaged in irrigation, infrastructure, road building, quarrying and mining activities is evident in the evolution of the construction and mining equipment industry in India as a whole, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that most of the leading infrastructure companies in the country today have their roots in the state. Under your transformational leadership, the government of Telangana has showcased how economic growth and social welfare can be balanced together by becoming the fastest growing state with an average state GDP of 9.25% in the last 6 years. This has also significantly contributed in India registering sustainable GDP growth. Telangana also leads the nation in terms of its per capita income of rupees 2.28 lakhs vis-a-vis many other states. Owing to its dynamic leadership, progressive government, and the entrepreneurial spirit of its people, Telangana is home to a large number of infrastructure companies who are contributing to nation building through the construction of roads, railways, ports, airports, dams, and canals by executing projects in the remotest parts of the country and abroad. They are also helping India meet her energy requirements by excavating enormous quantities of earth to produce coal for powering thermal power plants. Singareni Collieries is a shining example of how a PSU can contribute to the nation while remaining professional and profitable. The Telangana government is laying strong foundations for sustainable growth by investing in core segments such as water supply, both for agriculture and drinking purposes. Irrigation projects such as the Kaleshwaram Lift Irrigation Project, which is one of the largest of its kind in the world, lift 3,200 cusecs of water over 520 meters height over a distance of 1,832 kilometers to irrigate 45 lakh acres of land en route is indeed a marvel of modern India. Similarly, Palamaru Rangareddy, Dindi, Sitarama lift irrigation projects with a vision to bring water to arid areas of the state such as Mehboob Nagar, Kurnool, Vikarabad, Nalgonda, Rangareddy districts, etc. will surely help the state achieve much higher economic growth and social welfare. Mission Kakatiya, another of the state's flagship programs, with the aim to restore around 46,000 tanks across the state, and Mission Bhagiratha to make potable water available to all have been path-breaking initiatives of the state. Telangana is also the largest producer and exporter of granite in the country. Large deposits of good quality granite, aided by industry-friendly, export-oriented policies of the government and enterprising miners, enable exports to earn precious forex revenue for the state and the country. The Strategic Road Development Plan (SRDP) for easing traffic movement in the Twin Cities will help the city catch up with world-class infrastructure and regain its mojo. With your focused approach, sir, the IT investments and infrastructure have got a major boost, making Hyderabad the favorite destination in India, attracting world majors like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and Salesforce, who have chosen Hyderabad to house some of their largest facilities outside the headquarters. All these activities to build world-class infrastructure would need construction equipment. And as an industry, we are proud that we have been partners in Telangana's success story so far. Starting from the first fill of earth to the completion of the project, construction equipment play a very vital role in building infrastructure. Be it backhoe loaders, wheel loaders, excavators, pavers, compactors, cranes, crushers, concreting machinery, every piece of equipment that is built by us is critical in executing these world-class projects. The government and the people's resolve to hasten the completion of projects with high productivity at low cost has led to the rapid mechanization and has also driven technological advancement in construction equipment, with an eye to offer equipment with superior speeds, productivity, efficiency, and reliability. We in the CE industry have been continuously working and partnering with many of our customers from the state, and today we have the best in the world equipment available that is being offered to customers. I'm happy to share that most of the construction equipment today are equipped with state-of-the-art technologies and telematics, which help our customers complete the projects in the shortest possible time, but also having visibility in the efficiency and productivity of the equipment. Telangana state, with large irrigation and infrastructure projects, granite, aggregate sand mining, coal mining, etc., has been and will remain the key driver for construction equipment demand. Sir, I would like to inform you that it is a great matter of pride for us that Telangana contributes to about 10 to 11% of the national excavator demand. Going forward too, we are confident that Telangana will retain its leadership position in economic and social growth and shall continue to contribute significantly in the growth of the CE demand as well. I would like to thank you once again, sir, for the focus on the state's infrastructure, which has helped the growth of our industry. All of us are here today eager to listen to you to understand the state's future plans and growth strategies. I invite you, sir, Shri K.T. Rama Garu, to share your vision with us.
Thank you, Arvindji. Thank you for your kind words. I think I'd like to acknowledge all the panel members, starting from Sandeep Singh ji, Dimitrov Krishnan, Shekhar Reddy Garu, and also, of course, Arvind ji, who literally stole my speech, because everything I wanted to say he's covered, and possibly I think what he's only left for me is to speak about the way forward. Very, very kind words from all of you. Many, many thanks. This young state of Telangana, which has been only around for 6 years, needs all your support, needs all your blessing, needs all your guidance. Without going too much into the details, let me start by saying that in the state of Telangana, we have found under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao Garu, we found the right mix of social welfare and economic development. And this has been the key to the economic growth story of Telangana. The reason why I say this is because nearly 63% of our budget allocations in the last 6 years have been towards economic development and infrastructure creation, mostly creating capital assets. As was pointed out by Arvindji, we in fact, even though we are the youngest state in India, we've embarked on a very ambitious and an aggressive program of creating infrastructure, especially in irrigation sector, in agriculture sector, in all allied sectors. As a result, in less than 3 years, Telangana could complete and commission the world's largest multi-stage lift irrigation project called as Kaleshwaram. While we are very proud, to have associated with some of the major construction equipment manufacturers as part of these projects, our drive to continue to improve the infrastructure in the state is incessant. It will continue, till we ensure that every nook and corner of Telangana and every nook and corner of our, the towns and also villages, we bring the infrastructure up to an acceptable level of world-class standards to our citizens and to our countrymen. In that context, let me quickly detail out what our plans are for the future. The only way out of this, logjam, COVID-19 that has caused us, which is of course been a concern for the entire humankind, for the entire world, and not just for one industry sector, or not just for one country or one state, but for the entire human race, which has been only talking about COVID for the last 6 months and nothing else. The only way forward is on accepting reality on 2 counts. Firstly, we all need to realize, we all need to understand, till such time as a drug or a vaccine comes about, which may be some time away, in spite of what ICMR or somebody else would like us to believe. I personally believe that vaccine or a drug is at least another 6 to 8 months away. Till such time, we have no choice but to coexist. Till such time, we have no choice but to continue to live with the virus, continue to be alert, continue to stay cautious, but at the same time, continue to ensure that economic activity goes on unhindered. Now, that has been our approach right from day one. As Shekhar Reddy Garu pointed out, in fact, we were the first state in the country to have called our migrant workers partners in our state development. Because, but for them, all the projects that were mentioned, the irrigation projects, the housing projects, the drinking water projects, the lake rejuvenation projects, the industrial parks, but for these migrant workers, but for these guest workers, none of this would have been accomplished, on our own, just by machinery. Manpower is equally important in a country like India, where construction industry, where infrastructure industry is the second largest employer. Let me remind all of us. I think we need to talk about it more often. After agriculture, the second largest segment, which is actually taking care of the employment requirements in this country, is construction and infrastructure sector. Now, when governments realize that across the states and across the world, I think the construction equipment industry will get its due share in terms of being acknowledged for your contribution to the GDP, to the growth story, etc., etc. The state of Telangana has not only embarked on an ambitious program in the last 5-6 years, we continue to forge ahead in spite of the challenges that we are currently facing. We continue to progress with our irrigation sector. We are yet to complete 2 more large projects, one called as the Palamuru Rangareddy lift irrigation project, which should be done in the next 2 to 3 years. Likewise, another project called as Rama. The ultimate goal of government of Telangana is to ensure that we tap every single drop of water in the state of Telangana, conserve it for the drinking water needs, ensure that every single irrigable piece of land, cultivable piece of land in the state of Telangana is brought under cultivation, thereby contributing to the prosperity, to the growth of our state. Now, with respect to industrialization, with respect to investment in infrastructure, not only in irrigation, not only in drinking water, but we are also focused on creating large industrial parks. As was pointed out by Arvindji, we have been constantly working very, very aggressively on creating more road infrastructure. We are one of those states and one of those capital cities where infrastructure definitely is on par with possibly some of the best cities in the world. And we continue to improve, of course, because as a city, as a state, we can never rest on laurels. We can never be complacent. We have to continue to innovate. So in that context, we have several programs running in the city of Hyderabad: the Strategic Road Development Program, the Comprehensive Road Maintenance Program, the Hyderabad Road Development Corporation Limited. All of these entities, along with our municipal corporations, along with our various government bodies, continue to create infrastructure, continue to invest in important infrastructure segments. As was also pointed out by Arvindji, we in fact are also home to South India's largest coal block in the form of Singareni collieries. Now, Singareni in fact has also turned around and has been delivering consistently good results in the last 6 years. And we continue to forge ahead by way of going for more coal blocks across various parts of the country. We will continue to ensure that the needs of our thermal power generating stations are supported by our mining activities. In fact, Telangana also has invested heavily in ramping up our power infrastructure. We have taken the installed capacity of power in the state of Telangana from near about 8,000 megawatts to almost 24,000 megawatts, which is not a mean feat considering what we've inherited about 6 years ago. Not only in water, power, but also in industrialization, we have come out with very positive and progressive policy called as the Telangana State Industrial Project Self-Certification System, TS-IPAS, as we call it, where we promise all clearances in 15 days. And if we do not deliver on the 15-day promise, on the 16th day, it's a deemed approval by statute. No other state in India will tell you this. Therefore, Telangana today rightly occupies the top second spot in India on the Ease of Doing Business Index. We continue to work to ensure that not just the Ease of Doing Business Index, but also the cost of doing business and quality of doing business also are improved incessantly. And it's a strive for excellence that we continue to engage in. The request I have for construction equipment manufacturers, who are listening in, who are participating in this webinar, is on 2 counts. When we had visited ExCon back in 2017 in Bengaluru, in fact, I had met with several of your colleagues, including Sandeep ji and many others who were part of this webinar today. And we had requested you to consider, as was pointed out, large amount of infra works are happening here. More than 12% of country's excavation needs are being seen in Telangana today. So I had requested the industry to consider, holding ExCon maybe at least alternate year in Telangana, and I would be happy to host it in Hyderabad, right here, where it is mighty convenient for all of us. The second request I also had was, with Honorable Prime Minister's clarion call, for self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and also on Make in India, I would appeal to all of you. While it's a pleasure to work with the Hitachis and the Volvos of the world, it's also equally important for India to start manufacturing more, to start looking at more indigenous equipment manufacturers, because what COVID has shown us is that if we want our economic activity to go on unhinged, then we also have to be self-reliant. So therefore, my appeal to all of you is to also consider setting up manufacturing activity in the state of Telangana. We have already announced the launch of a 500-acre construction equipment park in a already approved NIMZ. NIMZ, for those of you who are unaware, is a National Investment Manufacturing Zone approved by Government of India, where you will receive a special set of incentives. So therefore, I appeal to you. Those of you who would want to set up assembling units, more than happy to facilitate that for you. Those of you who are indigenous Indian manufacturers, we'd be more than happy to roll out a red carpet to you, get you timely approvals, get you the much needed land, power, water, and tailor-made set of incentives, to ensure that we get you to manufacture in India and preferably in Telangana. I also assure you, because it's equally important for us to realize, as Shekhar Reddy pointed out, that skilling is a very important component to ensure that the human resources that are needed by the infrastructure industry, the construction industry, are met with. We have a very robust network of National Academy of Construction skilling centers in the state of Telangana. I request the construction equipment manufacturers to consider the Japanese model, where in fact the Japanese manufacturers, the Japanese industry together with the governments, establish what are called as advanced institutes of manufacturing. They establish training centers. We could do that in a very similar fashion in the state of Telangana. For instance, we could forge a partnership with a Volvo or a Hitachi or other L&T, etc., where we could, together between the government in a PPP mode with the private sector, we could launch these skill development centers so that the continuous supply of human resources, because as India forges ahead, as India becomes more and more robust and as our economy continues to grow, I think we cannot afford to forget one, very, very positive statement, I think, which was made by John F. Kennedy back in 50s. He had said, and those of you who visited Nitin Gadkari's office will remember this. John F. Kennedy had famously said, America does not have good highways because it is rich. America is rich because it has good highways. The point I'm trying to make is, but for infrastructure, India will not forge ahead and propel itself into the developed League of Nations. We need better airports. We need better seaports. We need more logistics hubs. We need better national highways. We need more robust, rail network. We need our industrial parks and industrial corridors strengthened. We need more high-speed rail networks. All of this is going to happen in the next 15 to 20 years, in the range of next 15 to 20 years. But unless we ramp up our ability to manufacture indigenously, our ability to scale up in terms of our human resources, we will not be able to accelerate and go for that expeditious, growth journey, growth track that we all, dearly hope and pray for. COVID, of course, in my humble opinion, please don't get me wrong, is but a minor road bump. We will find a solution. The human race has always adapted itself, has always reinvented itself, and came out of an adversity stronger than ever. I am of the firm belief that India's growth story is something that is only at the takeoff point right now. It's at an inflection point. And I do believe construction equipment industry, I have some numbers here, but I think we are going to shoot through those numbers. We'll do much, much better than what is expected. I'm told that construction equipment sales in India have increased, from 47,889 units in 2014 to about 1 lakh units in 19, which I think, again, possibly is only a minor fraction of what it can be. Likewise, I'm also told that current size of our industry today is $7 billion in 2020, which again, I think has an immense potential to grow and, to lead the country. As we move forward, economic activity, I believe there is no substitute to it. Governments have to continue to invest in infrastructure. Governments have to continue to invest in world-class economic activity. And in this, I think construction equipment industry plays a massive role. So I urge you all, I appeal to all of you to work with the state of Telangana, which is wanting to work with you as a partner, wanting to work with you as a partner. Work with us in enabling we create more manufacturing, in enabling we create more human resources, so that we create more local employment opportunities, and we also create wealth for our state and for our nation. So this is what I wanted to share with you. If there are any questions, any suggestions, any comments as well, happy to listen, happy to work with you all. Thank you very much for this opportunity to both CII and also ICEMA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ramaji. Thank you very much for a very, very positive and energizing speech to us and really addressed to us. And we really feel energized. It is, as you said, COVID has definitely put like a speed bump on the road for us. But the road is still a progressive road, and we all need to believe in the direction that we are headed. And really, definitely, sir, your points about the Telangana's pivot around social welfare balanced with economic development. It's really a model that I'm sure all states are looking up to, and it is not a surprise that you're on the top of the table when it comes to ease of doing business. So with regard to your request as a CE industry, definitely we take it with a lot of responsibility. I would come to these topics later in the discussion a little bit on, particularly on the Atmanirbhar Bharat aspect and the skilling aspect. So let me just go to our industry veteran, Mr. Arvind Garg. Arvind introduced himself earlier, and he has been an icon in the industry as well with over 35 years. I have been in the industry for long, but I can say that when we have looked at the country, always Hyderabad has been the icon as well in the infrastructure sector. And which is even though Telangana is a new state, we still see that it shows the way to the country when it comes to what kind of massive scale of vision that you are executing today. So let me come to Arvind with a question. Could you also, while you spoke a lot about the Telangana's activities, what importance Telangana is holding for the CE sector in the country's context? At the same time, could you highlight what are the current challenges that the industry is facing today? Arvind?
Yeah, DK, thank you. Sir, thank you very much, KT Ramarao Garu. It was very, very energizing for us, and it's always I would say, it's so wonderful to hear you speak. I was there alongside you when you came to XCon, and I was so mightily impressed by you, and it continues that way, sir. Now, to come to DK's question, DK, as I mentioned earlier, Telangana is definitely the leading state in terms of infrastructure development and economic growth. But as explained by KT Ramarao Garu, the government of Telangana has undertaken a journey which has never ever been undertaken till date, and they are totally transforming the state by their vision and by the investments that they are putting in building world-class infrastructure. Whether it is water, whether it's roads, airports. The first private airport in India actually came in Hyderabad. If you look at the metro that we have today in Hyderabad, is again one of the best that you have anywhere in the country. So the state is endowed with rich mineral deposits. It has got a dynamic leadership. So a lot of growth is taking place. And obviously a lot of construction and mining activities need equipment. And we continue to provide this. So the state, as an important state, if you today look at some of the leading contractors in the country, I would say most of them, many of them actually trace their roots back to this region. And they are today playing a stellar role in bringing the whole activity of nation building to a fore. However, when you look at the challenges, sir, I would only like to say a few things here. That you used the term guest labor, which is very, very, I think, I would say it's a very different word because it actually shows the role that you see of these people, the affection that you have for them, and you don't call them migrant. You say that they are people who are guests in the state, who are contributing to the development of the state. But the availability of this labor, guest labor, and the operational restrictions are definitely impacting the progress of projects and the productivity. I think something has to be done by the state to see how these people can be made more welcome than ever before and how they can continue to contribute to the progress of the infrastructure industry. Similarly, various steps had to be taken, whether it was in terms of lockdown, whether it is in terms of project progress, have led to lower asset utilization, impacting the ability of our infra companies to meet expenses and repay loans, though the government of India has sufficiently supported them through various credit measures. Another area which would be of great help would be if the state could look at means and measures of ensuring liquidity in the hand of infrastructure companies, whether it is through faster payments, faster resolution of arbitral awards, release of bank guarantees, etc. Today, that would be a big help because then these companies would regain their mojo and they would again get back actively in the process of building infrastructure. Banks and NBFCs are definitely being very, very cautious today. Now we'll have to see how liquidity can be brought back into the system so that customers can quickly raise loans for purchase of equipment. I'm sure that the government is seized with the situation and is taking necessary steps. However, in my humble capacity, I would like to request the government of Telangana and the Honorable Minister to kindly see how the speed of award of projects can be sustained and the spend on infrastructure projects can be enhanced. Also, to see whether there could be some measures to facilitate credit and speed up the process of releasing payment to infra companies, contractors, and others, which I think will tremendously help the sea industry regain its growth momentum.
Thank you, Arvind. Ramaraji, if you could respond to Arvind's point around the areas of guest labor, make it more welcome, and also the aspect of improving the liquidity challenges that our industry and particularly the contractor segment is facing. And then I have a follow-up question once you respond.
Going back to Arvindji's first point about guest workers, in fact, I'm delighted that the Government of India and also the state government of Telangana have gone for this policy of one nation, one ration, which kind of will take care of any situation on the front of somebody moving from one state to another and not being able to access the public distribution system. That is being taken care of. Secondly, I'm also delighted, to note that government has, in fact, taken into cognizance their healthcare requirements and also their rental requirements, which I believe also will assuage a lot of nerves and also ensure that people within the country, irrespective of where they move from to where they move to, I think that their immediate needs will be taken care of. If there's anything else that we can do in addition to ensure that the guest workers are taken care of better, I'm more than happy to look at that also, Arvindji. I think it's an extremely integral and important part of our infrastructure program. So we'll be more than happy to look at it. Now, about your question on liquidity, or your suggestion rather on ensuring that the money is placed in the hands of the infrastructure players so that they can sort of tide over this minor crisis. I'm fully with you on that. In fact, we do believe that any infrastructure company, unless they're paid and unless they're having enough liquidity, they'll not be able to infuse more and more capital. So therefore, in that context, we've been pushing. In fact, I'm proud to share with you that in the last 3 months of the lockdown time, we in the city of Hyderabad, since we did not have people moving around within the city, we've leveraged it extremely judiciously and have completed those works, which would have typically taken 9 months, road works, which would have taken 9 months. We were able to complete all of that in less than 3 months. So we've spent more, in fact, we've spent more in terms of infrastructure, and we've paid all the contractors. Of course, there will always be issues because even the state's revenues are also hit. So therefore, it's a matter of cash flow management. It's a matter of prioritizing, as you can understand, as is the case with your organization, same is the case with the government. So we are trying to find, by way of additional FRBM limits, we're trying to borrow more because as a government, that is the luxury that you have. And we also have requested Government of India for quantitative easing. We said, please take over, any government-held securities in private banks or in nationalized banks, and infuse money into the banking system so that there is more liquidity in the system. We are working with Union Finance Minister and Commerce Minister. We're also looking to bring in more changes in our in the way we do business as well, so that our infrastructure majors, they are helped. And if we help them, of course, they'll help the construction equipment industry. So therefore, we are looking at that option also. But all your points, all your suggestions are taken in the right spirit, Arvindji. We'll continue to work with you and your office bearers in improving the business environment in Telangana.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, just a follow-up question of that, and as when we talk about costs and efficiencies, one of the key things, and you are a fan of it when it comes to technology, how in the construction industry, one of the biggest challenges has been improving efficiencies over the years. And when we compare manufacturing versus construction, manufacturing industry has increased efficiencies big time over the years by using process management and improving ways of working and just in time and all of that. But the construction industry has been much slower. So the adoption of technology, one thing that we in the industry believe is that adoption of technology is a very big factor to improving efficiency. So how could the government of Telangana, in the way you work with the contractors to introduce and adopt new technologies in equipment side and also on the process side of construction, so that there is further improved efficiencies, lower cost, reduced waste, and stuff like that, and using technologies like remote monitoring or remote tracking of the quality of work. So what are your thoughts around this area of adoption of technology in this industry?
DK, in fact, one of the things our Honorable Chief Minister has been extremely good at in terms of planning, in terms of monitoring the kind of works that are going on in our state. In fact, I think he's possibly one of the few chief ministers in the country who leverages technology exhaustively and extensively. In fact, all of the planning of irrigation projects in the state of Telangana have been done at the level of our chief minister using Google Earth extensively. In fact, even our drinking water project, in tandem with, of course, the engineering team, we have used technology extensively. As you pointed out, remote monitoring. In fact, every project site in Telangana today has a complete surveillance, which gives us, in fact, on the chief minister's iPad and his mobile phone, he directly can look at what is going on where in the state with different construction sites. And I'm sure Arvindji will agree with me. Construction majors like L&T, they were getting calls from our Honorable Chief Minister sometimes twice in a day just to monitor what's going on, on the ground level, at the grassroots level. So therefore, we do believe in adopting technology, but there are a bunch of things we can do. One of the things I'm very keen to implement is a process. For industrial project approvals, we have brought in a system called as TS iPass, which is basically an online application for all clearances in 15 days, reducing graft, corruption, and timely clearances and time-bound deliveries. I'm wanting to bring in something very similar called as TS B-Pass. B-Pass is nothing but building project approvals and timely clearances. That will be available soon to our construction industry here in the state of Telangana. I'm waiting for a cabinet meeting, which is likely to happen very, very soon. In that, once we clear TS B-Pass, I promise all clearances to the construction industry in 21 days. And if I don't deliver on the 21-day promise, on the 22nd day, it's a deemed approval, no matter what the project size is, no matter even if it's a layout or a construction. So therefore, by leveraging technology, by minimizing the person-to-person kind of contact, by institutionalizing change, making it, taking away from the personal discretion and making it process-driven, irrespective of who's in government, who the officer is, etc., we will be able to ensure a lot of transparency is brought into the system. I'm working on it, and you will see the results. And I'm very confident that once we have achieved the desired objective, I think the entire the rest of the country also will follow. Now, on the process efficiency, like you said, manufacturing sector, while it has improved significantly, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done from our side in terms of technology. Only yesterday I've learned that multiple inspections are still happening even in industry, even in the manufacturing sector, which is something that we can do away with. Joint inspections, in fact, taking the renewal period, making a longer renewal period for a lot of licenses, etc. Taking away the 1 year or 2 year and making it 5 or 6 year renewals will make it easier for the industry, both in the manufacturing sector and also construction sector, to do business, peacefully, and to leverage efficiencies and to do a much better job and to offer, better rates to the customers as well. Last point I'd like to make on technology. In Telangana, we've also encouraged indigenous innovation. In fact, we are home to T-Hub, which is India's largest technology incubator. In fact, I would appeal to all of you again, if you could share with us the pain points in the industry, DK, as to what we could do potentially, because we have a lot of youngsters in Telangana who are looking to innovate and looking to provide solutions. So if your construction equipment industry, ICEMA, is willing to work with us, throw us a few challenges and say, these are the pain points, how can you address them? And for those of you who are wondering, what do I do? I'm a construction equipment guy. What will I do with technology? I'll just give you an example. Last time I was in Davos, there was a gentleman, the CEO of Carlsberg, the guys who make beer. They came to see me. Initially, I was thinking, what do I do with this beer guy? I mean, what business will I have with him? It's not an industry that I would like to promote or talk about much. But when he came in, he said, listen, I use 4 liters of water to make a liter of beer. Can we bring down that? Can we bring down the water consumption? Can you do something about it? So there are always opportunities. The point I'm trying to make is there are always opportunities for us to improve on the legacy processes. A lot of issues that we typically overlook can be streamlined, refined. And a lot of us, when you have spent 30 years and 20 years in the industry, you tend to get into a groupthink mode where you believe that no solution is available. but let a third party look at it. Let an outsider look at the same problem. You might have a fresh set of eyes offering a fresh perspective. So therefore, I would request you, in fact, UTC, Boeing, large aerospace companies, they've worked with T-Hub and they've set up corporate innovation challenges. I would urge you in ICEMA or independently as Volvo, as Hitachi, as L&T to work with us, throw challenges to our youngsters. Let us run a corporate innovation program. Let us see what we can do to save cost, improve efficiency, to come out with better solutions to do your business more efficiently.
Thank you very much, sir. Really great to hear that. And I was just thinking about a comment about the process aspect and the fact that manufacturing industry has worked heavily on the process, but there's still a long way to go, as you mentioned. They're reducing the multiple, automating inspections, for example, and stuff like that. One of the thoughts that triggers to me as you talk about innovation is, construction has been not improving efficiency mainly because we are unable to make it continuous process just like manufacturing is. And even if you look at construction projects, whenever we take greenfield projects, we see faster pace. When it comes to reworking cities and urban spaces, we take longer time because of various challenges. I think one of the things one can take as an innovation challenge possibly could be, how can we make construction process much more continuous in nature rather than discontinuous? So on that note, let me move to a different sector, which is a very large part of and it is also very much linked to the point of efficiency we talked about. You mentioned, sir, about the Singareni collieries. And this question is to Mr. Sandeep Singh. Singareni was the beacon of the improvement in efficiencies in the mining sector, the coal mining sector. And Sandeep, Telangana and Singareni collieries showed the way to the country how to make coal production more profitable using a very different model of extraction, the outsourcing model, which today is a common template followed by the entire coal industry. Can you speak a little bit about the mining business in Telangana and the key role it has played? And not only that, if you could highlight what are the current challenges, not only in the coal sector, maybe a little bit on other mining sectors like granite, or which is going through new challenges when it comes to the due to the COVID. Sandeep?
Yeah, thank you, DK. Before I answer your question, I first again would like to really thank Mr. Rao, that I'm always impressed, with your passion towards innovation, passion toward bringing new technology, and not only about one industry, but across all the industry. And that is the reason I think Telangana has been able to attract investment and talent from different fields. And my compliments to you, and thanks to you for your passion and innovative ideas. Singareni collieries, like DK mentioned, we call it SCCL, is basically contributing 9.2% in the overall domestic production of coal, which is quite substantial. It is pioneer in outsourcing. One of the key initiatives they took was outsourcing overburden, and that they did in 1992 at Rama. And at that time, they were incurring heavy losses, inefficiencies are very high, like we see in many other government PSUs and subsidiaries. And they were also facing similar kind of challenges. And they came out with this idea that why don't we privatize? Why don't we invite efficient contractors to do this job? And that is why, they brought in this overburden to give to contractors. And that brought in a lot of cost advantage to their operation. In fact, I believe by bringing in outsourcing, they cut down their expenses by 1/3. And they, achieved this efficiency by deploying latest technology, excavators, haulers, and all kind of equipment. And the most important thing was the unique site management techniques, what we have been talking about, remote monitoring. And they also put in very stringent standards and monitoring system in place, ensuring more than 90% of OB removal, 100% achievement of coal production target by bringing in these stringent monitoring mechanism. So therefore, SCCL demonstrated, in fact, to even private mining, some of those private mining industry, that how you can achieve the efficiency in the system. They also brought in the most important other thing was to remove corruption. They brought in competitive e-reverse auction, which was later on adopted by most of the mining PSUs, to ensure fair and transparent process of outsourcing overburden removal contract, which is getting better day by day, and it has brought in a lot of transparency into the system, fair competition among contractors. So today, I think OB removal target cumulatively with SCCL is about 450 billion, which is quite substantial. We are all working very closely with them. All contractors are working very closely with them. And every day they come out with new ideas, like adopting new technologies, remote sensing, remote controlling, and how they can improve the not only efficiency of equipment, but the overall management of the site. So that is something really very amazing. And we're all looking forward to the potential which they are bringing in with the new allocation of coal blocks. And currently some of the challenges which we feel, that though our contractors are working with the SCCL very closely, but then my colleague Arvind has already talked about that most of the contractors, because the amount of work which is coming up is huge, and most of our contractors are funded by NBFCs, and that is where they are facing the challenge of finance liquidity. And in terms of technology, though you mentioned that companies like Hitachi, Komatsu, or Volvo bringing in technology to India, I would like to mention here that 90% of equipment what we supply here in India are produced in India. We first localize our technology, localize the overall production system, and then only we introduce the products. Today, you will see the latest technology construction equipment available in India. What all we are ready to make more investment, and we are ready to bring in more technology as the industry grows. So we are in fact working very closely with SCCL to bring in more technological equipments and better mining management system to incorporate and to improve the efficiency. So one of the problem what I've mentioned is the financial liquidity, and the latest problem what we are facing is the guest laborers, what the word which we have given. I think they are coming back now to work, but that is another challenge which our contractors are facing. And sometimes the land acquisition, or that is, I think that's quite rare, but then those are also some of the issues which I think I would like to highlight, that sometimes they face those kind of challenges. Now, regarding granite, Arvind has already talked about it. You also mentioned in your speech, Telangana is one of the most important or producer of granite, whether it is granite blocks or polished granite, and they export a large quantity to other parts of the world. And they are also facing similar kind of challenges. One is the environmental clearance from central government. Many times they are struggling with that. Labor which they are facing today for polishing or the production. And the third most important thing is, which they face in granite as well, is the financial liquidity. I think these are some of the common problems which our contractors are facing. But I believe with your kind of initiative and and our engagement with the industry and with the government, I'm sure most of the problems we will be able to overcome. So that's all, DK, from my side. That's what I would like to mention here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Sandeep. I think you mentioned clearly how Hyderabad and the Telangana-based Singareni collieries has been the beacon for mining industry. Coming from that, Mr. Ramarao, you mentioned already about the technology adoption and challenges. The financing related challenges, and also the challenges that the granite industry might face in terms of trade too. I mean, China is one of the countries which is a big importer of the finished products from the granite industry. And with the current trade challenges that we see between India and China, What kind of challenges do you see, and do you think that we will be able to overcome these in a short period of time?
Well, DK, before I respond to your question, let me firstly say thank you again, Sandeep ji, for all the kind words. I've been, in fact, my principal secretary is also here, Jayesh Ranjan. In the last 6 years, we've been able to get many investors to come and invest in Telangana. In fact, we are privileged in Telangana because our Honorable Chief Minister's principal secretary, his name is Narsingh Rao. He was in fact a former CMD of Coal India. So therefore, from the perspective of mining and from the perspective of Singareni collieries and mining, in fact, our revenues have improved drastically and dramatically in the last 6 years. And it is from various sources, including granite, including coal, sand, and other minor minerals also. Significant improvement has come about. We also brought in a new mineral policy, which brought in a lot of transparency. As I was pointing out, better policies and also the fact that we had vision right from the top have helped improve our mining revenues. But on the question of granite and how we are dependent on China, yes, absolutely, that's right. It is going to be a challenge, but nevertheless, I think we have to look at alternate markets. We have to look at other growth stories and other growing countries, and not completely. We realize the perils of putting all your eggs in one basket. We've been heavily reliant on China, so therefore, time to look at other markets and time to reinvent. The way we do business, even in granite sector. So we're working on that, DK. I don't have a ready-made answer right now.
Yeah,
we are working on that.
No, absolutely, sir. I think that's what you well said in terms of trying to diversify the customer base for our industries is also one of the key things. And I think Atmanirbhar Bharat as a broader direction is also about not just building in India but also finding markets so that we can diversify our risk and make it. Well, let me come to Mr. Shekhar Reddy here. In the real estate market, we understand that one major initiative that the government of Telangana has taken to decongest West Hyderabad and move towards this Look East policy, which I understand is a draft which is to be released. And not only that, there is a plan to come out with a grid comprising of east, south, north of Hyderabad for development. Could you speak a little bit about this and share your thoughts on this, Mr. Reddy?
Yeah. I think if we can really, the government can help the entrepreneurs in the Look East policy, if it expedited, definitely east, north, south, the huge land bank is there, and the land rates are cheaper when compared to western zone. Definitely, the cost of the built-up area will be very reasonable, and ultimately, it will attract more and more investors domestically in India, and also global investors will come because ultimately the cost will come down. And it's well connected to the airport through the ORR. And one request to the KTR is the long pending is if we can identify and acquire the grid roads and the ORR, the walk to work townships like high tech city and financial districts, such walk to work townships can come many on the ORR, and that will also take care of the north, east, south. I think it will going to be definitely a major achievement for the or the Telangana government if this can be done immediately, and this will also decongest the city traffic also when the all sides are equal importance is given. Now people are trying, because when we had earlier also workshops and the master plan, many people know the employees who are coming from the east and north, they expressed, sir, we have to waste so much of our time in during the travel. But now, if at all the government is really, if expedite and a little bit incentives, if they can give the IT and ITS companies toward the other directions, and also they promise to provide the all infrastructure to the doorstep. I think that is a main key issue. And definitely it will make more attractive. And I request to KTR Garu to expedite. Already, I think he's taking care of that. But if it can expedite, because the COVID is showing a little bit this thing downside, but this will definitely boost up because the pricing will be cheaper. The rentals or acquisition of the IT space will be much cheaper. We're already cheaper in the Western also, but that will give another advantage for the investors. And also, I thank KTR Garu for bringing the TSB pass. And I request all the ICEMA, the members also, because the Telangana is proud to say that CII IGBC center is located in Hyderabad, and we are the global leaders. And I request all your members to go the factory rating for all your factories, go green, and so that we can also proud when we are using your machinery, and we can say that no, these are all green green machinery. We are manufactured in taking care of the environment, because we have green products also. More than 15 products are certified by the IGBC. We are using now, and there are 26 ratings. And and the state government is also, recently also for the integrated command control office also, they have adopted a rating, IGBC rating. And many other offices also, they are going for rating. I request all of you to take to initiate as far the green is concerned. Let us show the rest of the world. We are already you can say with the 7.2 billion square foot green footprint registered, we are the second largest globally. And I think even Lukish policy also, KTR Garu from the beginning, I think he actually wanted to go for this Kokapet township also, which is held up. I want to go for a green rating, entire township. I think not Lukish policy also. We should definitely we should look into a green rating for the entire zone. Thank you.
So, KTR, would you like to comment a bit more about the Hyderabad, larger Greater Hyderabad development strategy that you have a bit? We know it's there in your vision document. Could you just speak for our benefit of all the participants?
Absolutely. In fact, first thing I'd like to say, DK, is while Mahatma Gandhi had very famously said, that India lives in its villages. The fact is, India is run by its towns and cities. Today, 80% of India's revenues actually come from our urban pockets. And the fact also is that in search of better livelihood opportunities, better healthcare facilities, better education opportunities, people will continue to migrate. Suburbanization and urbanization is going to be an integral part of our growth story. We cannot negate, we cannot overlook the importance of ensuring that the infrastructure inadequacies in our urban pockets are addressed at the earliest. Toward that effect, to decongesting our cities, we have drawn out multiple strategies, as I had pointed out earlier. The Strategic Road Development Program, the special corporation created to improve roads in Hyderabad called as the HRDCL, the Hyderabad Road Development Corporation Limited. Also, giving out our important roads, in the city of Hyderabad to private sector agencies to maintain under a comprehensive road maintenance program. Likewise, also identifying those missing link roads. We've identified in the city of Hyderabad about 137 missing link roads, which have eased the congestion on the main, arteries. So this was a part of our decongestion effort. But above and beyond that, as was pointed out by Shekhar Reddy Garu, one of the things that needs to happen, and one of the things that we need to do in every single city of India today, is to go for a growth in dispersion. We can't have one side of the city growing and other sides being completely neglected. So we are coming out with a policy called as GRID, growth in dispersion, and this is something that will help developers look at newer areas, to develop and invest more in newer areas, so that their investments are incentivized, etc. Likewise, we are also coming out with an integrated township policy to decongest the main core city of Hyderabad, wherein you'll have self-contained townships further away from town, and government will also be offering a lot of incentives to developers who will take up these townships in a live, work, learn, play kind of mode, where they're all self-contained and people do not have to move about unnecessarily. Now, most importantly, Hyderabad, in fact, has a huge advantage of offering the best bang for the buck. In fact, if you compare us to a city like Bangalore or say Pune, comparable cities, Hyderabad today offers best quality of living, and this is not me saying it. This is Mercer, which has rated us for the last 5 years in a row on the livability index. In the last 5 years, we've been on the top. We offer best quality of living only on two counts. One, of course, the infrastructure is better and the cost of living is lower. So the cost of construction and the cost at which even the constructed space is offered to the commercial real estate and also residential real estate has given us that competitive advantage, which we would like to retain even going forward. But if we have to retain that, we have to invest in further infrastructure. As Shekhar Reddy pointed out, we have to invest in more grid roads. We have to invest in newer townships. We have to invest in better public transport. I mean, L&T has done the world's largest public-private partnership metro rail in the world's largest, let me remind you, not India's. They have invested nearly 15,000 crores and they have done the world's largest PPP in metro rail. But we have to now take it to a logical extension. We have to add more and more kilometers of metro rail. So all of these good public transport systems, you know, in Delhi, which is where some of your members live, we see all these issues about how pollution has become a major issue. Now, I think each and every city in India needs to have a clean air authority. The government of India needs to drive it. They need to mandate each and every city to move out all the polluting industries outside of the city, ensure vehicular pollution comes down, ensure all other forms of pollution, including water, is taken care of by these clean air authority and clean tech authority. So multiple strategies need to be drawn out if we really have to make our cities more livable and lovable. And we are working on those, constantly, DK.
Thank you very much, sir. And actually, as you said, just in these last 3 months, we have seen when we were able to bring down vehicular pollution and to some extent industry shutting down, how quickly the nature has revived the cleanliness in the air, and basically almost telling the human race that you are a guest here. I know how to keep my ecosystem clean. So more or less, that's a great point you mentioned. So now I will go into the Q&A section, sir, and let me just invite first our supporting partners. And here, the partners who have supported us in this whole webinar is Puzolona, Tata Hitachi. Associate partners were Ajax, Case Construction, Hyundai, JCB, Volvo, and L&T. And I would first like to come to Mr. Abhijit Pai. If you could just put on your video as well as unmute yourself, and could you just take your question in, Mr. Abhijit Pai?
Thank you, DK. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much for all the support that you've given us. We're a Hyderabadi company, and the fact that you gave us so much help during this pandemic and helped us restart so quickly and retain manpower has been a very big help. So my question is twofold. One is, Hyderabad has an ecosystem which is pre-built already, right? Like BHEL, and we have a lot of large, manufacturing activity which has been undertaken. How do we use this backbone alongside T-Hub and your new initiative of T-Works as well? And how can we integrate all of this with the electronic city as well, right? So, because the future, like, some of our panelists earlier discussed as well, is towards new age technologies. And I think in order for us to be competitive and be on a world scale, we need to integrate all of this and see how we can work in parallel with all these ecosystems. And I believe that Hyderabad has this. So what is your vision towards how we can integrate all these, electronic cities, T-Works, and so on and so forth, and bring them under one fold, such that we can actually have an import replacement and make us more competitive from a global thought process? The second question, sir, is, your focus on the pharma, and made in Hyderabad or made in Telangana and exported to the world. How can we replicate that for construction equipment? Construction equipment is a $150 billion industry, and we're only talking about, servicing India today, but that shouldn't be our goal. Our goal should be much larger. So how can you, and what is your vision and how we can, be the next manufacturing power for the global users as well? So over to you, sir.
Well, two great questions. I think very loaded questions also, Abhijit, but thank you very much. The first question, the first point you made was a brilliant point. An institution like BHEL and, a large public sector undertaking, which has been established long time back, and how it can spawn out a large number of medium and small enterprises. A classic example of how it works out for a city like Hyderabad. We've had defense labs in Hyderabad, which have been established 50 years ago, DRDLs and, RCIs and DRDO, etc., etc. Abhijit, the classic thing that has come out of these, and which is, again, since these are all classified institutions, not a lot of, news comes out. But nevertheless, more than 30,000 researchers and more than 30,000 scientists have been working out of these establishments. As a result, what has happened is very, very undercover, very, very below the radar. More than 1,000 MSMEs have sprung up in Hyderabad over the last 3 decades. Today, this is again not a very well-known fact, but let me share it with you anyways. In precision engineering industry, Hyderabad today has a real big edge. In fact, when India sent MOM, the Mars Orbiter mission, more than 30% of the components were manufactured by these small and medium enterprises that I just mentioned, which was spawned out of the whole defense ecosystem. Something very similar and very replicable can be done with respect to our industry as well, construction equipment and also our engineering industry. Same is the case with pharma that you had just mentioned. With IDPL, which came in long time back, again, a public sector undertaking, which has created many private sector pharma companies, and that's how Hyderabad today is able to produce remdesivir for United States, and we are also able to come out with the Covaxin, which everybody is talking about, including ICMR, hopefully by August 15th, etc., etc. All of that is coming from Hyderabad. Today, you have 4 Hyderabad companies in the race to create a vaccine for COVID. Indian Immunologicals, Biological Evans, Bharat Biotech, and also, there's one more, which I can't readily recall, Shanta Biotech. So all 4 of them are in the race to create a vaccine. But this did not happen overnight. Neither of these stories, defense or pharma, did not happen overnight. It took a time, it took enabling policies, it also took the industry's point of mind on wanting to reinvent itself. Now, it's extremely important from construction equipment industry to come forward as well. That's why I was actually saying to DK that you guys need to start looking at the pain points in the industry. If you really want to be competitive with large manufacturing countries, you really have to dig deeper and come to me with demands from the government as to how government can be an enabler, how I can make it conducive for you in terms of policy and fiscal incentives to make you competitive, to stay competitive with the world. Because we can't just be looking at the Indian market, like you said. If you really have to grow, how can we then grow by leaps and bounds and go to the next level? So if you guys as ICEMA, come to me and say that in this construction equipment park that we are creating, why don't you tailor make incentives which will make me compete with China, which will make me compete with the large construction equipment manufacturing nations of the world? Happy to do it. Only thing is that initiative, that urge also to reinvent, to compete, because our guys right now are happy looking at the numbers. I'm sorry to say this, gentlemen, but I think we're happy to look at the numbers, saying we grew from 3 billion to 7 billion in 4 years. So therefore, our growth story continues, and we're very complacent. I think we cannot rest on our laurels. This country has huge potential to create employment. That's why I said invest in human resources together. Give me policy input so that I can create an enabling atmosphere for you to compete with the world. And more importantly, self-reliance, where we compete with the best people in the world. So if we are able to find this right mix, I think then we'll be able to break a few doors open, Abhijit. But great question. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Abhijit, for a fantastic question. One comment on that would be, sir, that we are working with the Department of Heavy Industries. There was this discussion with them about this Atmanirbhar Bharat, to identify technology areas which are where we have lack of capacity in the country. There are certain specific precision engineering components which are not made in India, and even though we manufacture and assemble in India, a lot of them are imported. So that is an area which I'm sure ICEMA will deliberate and will like to come to Telangana government and discuss how can we create an enabling environment to bring such component manufacturers to the country. And that will enable, that might be the starting point of, typically a vendor base brings a lot of, attracts a lot of attention from OEMs as well. Let me come to Subir of JCB. Subir, could you just unmute and ask your question, please?
Hi, good afternoon, Honorable Minister, sir. I'm Subir Chaudhary from JCB, MD and CEO. It was absolutely a great delight to listen to your powerful vision. I think one thing which you have seen, action strategy in action is in Telangana, under dynamic leadership of Honorable Chief Minister, and your very passionate leadership is how you have made continued reform as part of your governance. Sir, my question is that what DK talked about, little expanding from there, and probably what you also touched upon, sir, on the self-reliant and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, this is post-COVID-19 has given us such a huge opportunity, and the entire OEM plus the component manufacturers are looking at greater potentials to relocate at various destinations. Sir, my question is that as a way forward, are we going to look at focusing on some of the critical skills and the scale on the areas like say electronics, say semiconductors, or say, hydraulic precision equipments or hydraulic assemblies, motors, valves. So those are the areas. So if that brings a focused, very focused level of investment support, and also working with countries like Korea, Japan, and many other areas which people are going to support us. So is there a policy which we are trying to look at on very specific sectoral level of support in Telangana, where we can work with our JCB supply chain across the globe, and many of us will be then working with them to bring the investment into Telangana, where we have huge skill, tremendous amount of ability of scale, and also that infrastructure process which is there. So that's my question, sir. Are you looking at something very sectoral specific support?
Thank you, Subir. Great question again. Let me just quickly respond to that. I think three things are important. First thing is, while we talk about self-reliant India, we also should not be isolating ourselves and locking ourselves out from the offerings of the world. While we have to be self-reliant, at the same time, we also cannot be isolating ourselves like some countries have done in the past, which is a regressive thinking, if you ask me. So therefore, sectoral policies, yes. In fact, we seek investments in 14 sectors across 14 different verticals in industry. And of course, all the sectors that you've mentioned are very much part: electronics, semiconductors, precision engineering, everything that you've mentioned, we have a policy. I'm happy to share that with your office bearers, through my Principal Secretary of Industry and Commerce, Jayesh Ranjan. Subir, I'll connect to you offline. I'll get your number through your office bearers. But first point, we cannot isolate ourselves. Second point, we have sectoral policies. I'll share them with you. And third point, and most important, if we really have to learn from the experience of China or Japan or Korea, who have had significant success, I think three things come to my mind. Recently, I was interacting with IMED, the medical devices manufacturers of India. They told me something very staggering. It was an eye-opener for me as a minister. I've been around for 6 years, but I never really understood this one thing, and I think that needs deeper introspection at Government of India's level. One of the gentlemen said, when I asked them, why are we importing 78% of medical devices? Why can we not change that and, sort of manufacture more? He simply laughed and smiled and he said, sir, if I have to manufacture gloves, for surgical gloves, it costs me more to manufacture in India than to import them. Now, this calls for introspection. I'm sure that is the case with some of the components even in your industry. Now, that is what needs to be introspected by states and by center. हम लोग अगर इंपोर्ट करते हैं तो अगर कम पैसा लगता है तो इसमें जरूर कुछ गड़बड़ है, मतलब हमारा पॉलिसी में कुछ गड़बड़ है. हमारा या तो इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी या टैरिफ, some nonsense, somebody has come out with in the past has become an impediment to move forward quickly. Now, those are the pain points I want you to identify as an industry. If you can identify those and tell governments and beat us on the head with a stick saying, boys, you need to get this right. It's not just about sloganeering. बोलना तो आसान है, आत्मनिर्भर इंडिया बोलना आसान है, मेक इन इंडिया बोलना आसान है, बट कर दिखाना मुश्किल है. और दूसरी बात है, सेकंड पॉइंट ये है कि unless you engage with the states directly, Subir, will not be able to get a lot done. It's good to engage with Ministry of Heavy Industry in Delhi. I understand they are ultimately the policy body, but it's also equally important for you to realize the agility really rests on the states, because water, power, land, incentives, sub state deta hai. India is a federal republic. So it's very important for ICEMA to also engage with the states directly, come out with enabling policies sectorally, develop skills. China and Korea and Japan have succeeded because they had the ability to produce constantly good human resources and constantly good a stream of people. Now, that is something that we sorely lack in India. So therefore, Subir, if you are willing, or if one of the large multinationals is willing, I'm happy to set up an advanced institute of manufacturing in the state of Telangana. We'll work with you. We'll do a PPP project. We'll provide, it's easy to set up a factory, but also you need the essential thing is workforce. And what COVID has shown, if anything, the physical infrastructure is in place across the world. Absolutely. What is missing today in the world is the workforce. That is the point we cannot miss out on. So therefore, constant supply of quality human resources is the key to growth. And I'm happy to collaborate with any of you, each of you independently in setting up Skilling Institute.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And engaging is a very moot point. And actually, in our governing council meeting, we in the last during this COVID crisis, we've been having more active discussions. And one of the key things was about engagement of state. And actually, this event is triggered from that. And we started with Telangana, and really, and we are very glad to hear that you resonate with that. And it's also a fact that the COVID crisis also revealed the strength of the federal structure that we have in this country. That it is a good collaboration between national government and the state government that makes success happen in face of such dramatic crisis that can face the humanity. I have just one last question from Mr. Puneet Vidyarthi, and then we will quickly wind up, sir. If you can just take 5 minutes more.
So thanks, DK.
Please go ahead.
Social welfare and economic development, and I think Telangana as a state has been able to clear and demonstrated that these two actually go hand in hand. One drives the other. So my it's not a question; it's a suggestion, and one of the a testimony of one of the good action which Telangana state has taken is Telangana has been able to create a lot of at the grassroots level in the agriculture machinery space, for example, ownership of tractors from the people who just drive and work for others. They have actually been able to own a tractor because of the encouraging subsidy scheme, so to say. Sir, as you rightly said, construction equipment sector, like agriculture sector, has got a huge potential to create empowerment, employment, and also in addition, request to you, sir, is to consider a support scheme like a subsidy for equipment like backhoe loaders, excavators, which can actually help the rural youth not only to create empowerment and employment for themselves, but also contribute to the state growth journey, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you for the kind words. Let me just quickly respond on two things. Firstly, in fact, Telangana is the only state in the country where each and every one of our 12,750 gram panchayats have their own tractors, their own blades, their own tankers, their own equipment, to keep the place spick and span and spruced up. This is again driven by our Honorable Chief Minister. Secondly, Telangana is one state which has done significant investments in agri implements in the last and mechanization, farm mechanization in the last 5 years. In fact, we've invested heavily in distributing, I think, more than 6,000 tractors and every other agri equipment and implement that goes along with, the rotavators and everything else that goes with it, harvesters. Now we are on the lookout. As we mechanize, as we go more and more, towards modernizing the way we do farming, we are also looking at transplanters. We are looking at, other forms which will help the farmers negate the lack of availability of, human resources and negate the lack of availability of workers in the fields. We are also working on that. With respect to your point about subsidizing by purchase of construction equipment industry or construction equipment, excavators, etc., that is something that definitely can be looked at, because like you pointed out, again, these are much required. Currently, people are buying them independently. We can look at it, but I think it will have to be possibly a second priority after, farm mechanization. It can't just be on par with it. There will be a lot of, reading between lines. So I have to be careful about what I have to say there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I will now request Sandeep Singh to just conclude this session and thank all the panelists from my side and hand over to Sandeep.
Yeah, thank you, DK. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Minister, Mr. Rama. Really very, very encouraging and good to interact with you. As DK mentioned that in a GC meeting, we decided that under this challenging environment, we should start interacting with promising states. And the first name was yours name and your state. And that is how we are today here interacting with you and with your officials. Really nice of you to spare your time. Thank you very much. You really gave us overview of your vision, how you are driving the economy of state, how we can contribute as a manufacturer in the development of state, and how we can work together in different fields, which I would not like to deliberate on all that once again, but thank you very much. And we look up to you for greater engagement by the industry and the development of infrastructure in the state. I would also like to thank Mr. Shekhar Reddy for his encouraging remarks, for his kind words about the industry and what all state is doing to support the contractors over there, and what all new opportunities are coming in the state, and what as a construction equipment manufacturer we can look at to increase our business in Telangana. I would also like to thank the participants, my colleagues, panelists who joined this program, and the sponsors, Puzolana and my own company, Tata Hitachi. We also sponsored as a principal sponsor, and our associates like Ajax, Hyundai, JCB, Volvo, and L&T. So today's interaction was just not a normal webinar for us. It was, we wanted to have interactive session with you, understand your mind, understand your vision, that how we can work together, bring in new technology, new way of improving efficiency of our equipment and business and driving growth in the state, which will help us in replicating in other parts of the India. And I must say that we learn a lot from people in Telangana. When we interact with our contractors, they are so much full of knowledge and the innovation ideas which they bring in. We really admire that. So thanks once again to all the participants, to Honorable Minister, Mr. Shekhar Reddy, our panelists, and looking forward to see you soon, sir. Thank you very much. Grateful to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you all panelists. Just a quick statistics for everybody, as we had max participants 415, and that is really a great attendance for this webinar on this kind of a matter at the state level for ICEMA. And thank you CII as well for supporting this, and in all as well. Thank you very much. Thanks Subhajit. Thanks Mr. Shekhar Reddy, Jay Kumar. Seema, who has been behind the scenes working hard.
Yeah, really grateful to our office in Delhi, and CI Telangana who have coordinated this. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody. Good day. Bye-bye.